them permission to keep hurting you. The Bible does not use the modern expression toxic person, but it describes destructive patterns clearly. Deception, manipulation, constant conflict, false accusations, pride, cruelty, control, refusal to accept correction, using other people for personal gain. The word may be modern, but the behavior is not. Jesus encountered people who lied about him, tested him, insulted him, tried to control him, and eventually plotted to kill him. And his response was not always the same. Sometimes he answered. Sometimes he remained silent. Sometimes he corrected them publicly. Sometimes he walked away. Sometimes he exposed their motives. Sometimes he refused to entrust himself to them. This is important because many Christians believe love requires one response in every situation. Be nice, remain available, avoid conflict, give another chance, never leave. But Jesus was loving without being controlled, compassionate without being naive, forgiving without pretending that evil was harmless. The first thing Jesus would do with a toxic person is recognize the pattern without accepting the label they placed on him. Toxic relationships often survive by controlling your identity. The person tells you that you are selfish when you say no, unforgiving when you remember what happened, dramatic when you describe the pain, disloyal when you ask for change. The conversation is no longer about their behavior. It becomes a trial of your character. And because you want to be a good person, you begin defending yourself, explaining, apologizing, trying to prove that your motives are pure. But Jesus did not allow his enemies to define him. Religious leaders accused him of being controlled by evil. They called him a friend of sinners, as though compassion were a crime. They questioned his authority. They attacked his motives. Yet Jesus did not build his identity from their accusations. He knew who he was before the conversation began. That is where freedom starts. Before deciding how to respond to a difficult person, you must remember who has the authority to define you, not the person who becomes angry when you set a boundary, not the family member who uses guilt to control you, not the partner who makes love conditional on obedience, not the employer who treats exhaustion as loyalty. Your identity is not decided by the person who is most disappointed in your boundaries. It is grounded in the Father. The second thing Jesus would do was tell the truth clearly. Jesus was not passive when people use religion to harm others. In Matthew 23, he confronted religious leaders whose public appearance did not match their private character. He exposed hypocrisy. He named the problem. He did not soften the truth so much that the truth disappeared. This matters because peacekeeping and peacemaking are not the same thing. Peacekeeping avoids uncomfortable conversations. Peacemaking brings truth into the relationship so that something real can change. Sometimes Christians remain silent because they believe any confrontation is unloving, but silence can protect the behavior that is causing the harm. Jesus taught a direct process in Matthew 18. When someone sins against you, begin by addressing the matter personally. Not through gossip, not through vague social media messages, not through a campaign to make everyone choose sides. Speak to the person directly. That might sound like this. When you speak to me that way, it damages our relationship. I will not continue this conversation while I am being insulted. I forgive you, but the behavior still needs to change. I love you, but I cannot participate in this pattern anymore. Clear words are not cruelty. A boundary is not revenge. Truth spoken without hatred can be an act of love. But what happens when the person refuses to listen? What happens when every conversation becomes another opportunity for manipulation? Jesus did not teach endless confrontation without consequences. Matthew 18 continues beyond the private conversation. When someone refuses correction, the relationship changes. Accountability increases. Access decreases. The problem is no longer treated as though nothing happened. This leads to the third thing Jesus would do. He would not give everyone the same level of access. John chapter 2 says Jesus did not entrust himself to certain people because he understood what was in the human heart. Think about that. Jesus loved people without entrusting himself to everyone. Love was universal. Trust was not. Compassion was available. Access was not unlimited. Many painful relationships continue because we confuse these things. You can love someone without trusting them. You can pray for someone without sharing your private life with them. You can forgive someone without immediately restoring the relationship. You can wish someone well without allowing them back into the same position where they repeatedly harmed you. Trust is not rebuilt by an apology alone. Trust is rebuilt by truth, repentance, changed behavior, and consistency over time. Forgiveness can begin in one heart. Reconciliation requires participation from both people. Jesus commanded forgiveness. He did not command you to pretend trust exists when it has been destroyed. The fourth thing Jesus would do is refuse pointless arguments. Some people do not ask questions because they want understanding. They ask questions because they want control. They move the subject, twist your words, ignore your answer, attack your tone, bring up something unrelated, then demand another explanation. You may believe that if you find the perfect words, they will finally understand. But the problem may not be your explanation. The problem may be that understanding would require them to accept responsibility. Jesus recognized conversations that were not honest. When religious leaders try to trap him with questions, he sometimes answered with another question. At other times, he refused to play their game. Before Herod, Jesus remained silent, not because he lacked an answer, because Herod was not seeking truth. Silence can be wisdom when words are only being collected and used against you. You do not owe an endless explanation to someone committed to misunderstanding you. You do not need to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not need to prove your heart to someone who benefits from questioning it. Sometimes the most Christ-like response is a clear sentence followed by silence. I have already explained my decision. I am not discussing this while we are attacking each other. We can continue when this conversation becomes respectful. Then stop. The fifth thing Jesus would do is walk away when necessary. There were moments when crowds became hostile and Jesus withdrew. When a town rejected the message, he taught his disciples not to remain forever trying to force acceptance. They were to leave and continue their mission. This is very different from the belief that walking away always means giving up. Sometimes walking away is how you stop participating in destruction. Jesus did not allow rejection in one place to end his calling. He moved forward. A toxic person may want to become the center of your emotional world. Every day revolves around their mood. Every decision anticipates their reaction. Every peaceful moment can be interrupted by their next message. Your life slowly becomes a system built around preventing their anger. But Jesus did not surrender his mission to the emotional demands of other people. He served people. He loved people. He was never controlled by their approval. Walking away does not always mean ending the relationship permanently. It may mean ending a conversation, leaving the room, taking a period of distance, changing how often you communicate, refusing to discuss certain subjects, removing someone from a position of trust. In situations involving abuse, threats, stalking, or physical danger, distance may need to be immediate and supported by trusted people and appropriate professional or legal help. Spiritual language should never be used to pressure someone only after the other person apologizes. Some people may never admit what they did. They may tell a different version of the story. They may make themselves a victim. They may continue believing that your boundary was a betrayal. You cannot control that. Jesus would not ask you to control their story. He would ask you to remain faithful inside your own. The seventh thing Jesus would do is examine your heart too. The expression toxic person can become dangerous when it is used for anyone who disagrees with us, corrects us, disappoints us, or refuses to give us what we want. Not every difficult person is toxic. Not every conflict is abuse. Not every boundary placed against you is manipulation. Sometimes the other person is not the only one who needs to change. Jesus taught people to examine themselves before focusing completely on another person's faults. So ask honestly, am I responding to repeated harm or simply to discomfort? Have I communicated clearly? Have I allowed the person an opportunity to change? Am I setting a boundary to protect what is healthy or to punish them? Am I telling the truth or recruiting people to support my side? Do I want restoration or do I want control? A Christ-like boundary is not built from revenge. It is built from truth, wisdom, and love. The goal is not to become colder than the person who hurt you. The goal is to become freer. So what would Jesus do with a toxic person today? He would recognize the pattern without allowing the person to define him. He would speak truth clearly. He would confront harmful behavior directly. He would distinguish love from trust. He would refuse manipulative arguments. He would reduce access when there was no repentance. He would walk away when remaining meant participating in destruction. He would forgive without pretending nothing happened. He would pray without returning to the same trap. And he would continue living the mission the Father gave him. Here is a practical process you can use. First, name the behavior. Do not begin with a vague label like, "You are toxic." Name the specific pattern. "You insult me when I disagree." "You use private information against me." "You repeatedly promise change, but the behavior continues." "You punish me with silence when I say no." Second, state the boundary. If the insults begin, I will end the conversation. I will no longer discuss this subject with you. I will not lend money again. I need distance before this relationship can continue. Third, state the path toward restoration. We can try again when we are both able to speak respectfully. Trust can be rebuilt through consistent change. I am willing to talk with a counselor, pastor, or trusted mediator. Fourth, follow through. A boundary without action becomes another request a person can ignore. You do not control whether they respect the boundary. You control what you do when they cross it. And finally, release the outcome. They may change. They may become angry. They may leave. They may accuse you. They may return with sincere repentance. Your responsibility is not to control their response. Your responsibility is to remain truthful, loving, and faithful. Perhaps the person you are thinking about will never understand your decision, but your healing does not require their agreement. Jesus did not teach you to hate difficult people. He taught you to love without becoming a prisoner. He did not teach you to take revenge. He taught you to speak truth and leave judgment with God. He did not teach you to remain endlessly available to people committed to harming you. He showed that compassion and boundaries can exist in the same heart. You can forgive and still say no. You can love and still leave the room. You can pray for someone and still remove their access. You can follow Jesus without sacrificing the person God created you to be. So today, ask yourself one question. Is this relationship producing truth, responsibility, and growth? Or is it surviving only because I am afraid to set a boundary? Your answer may be uncomfortable, but truth often feels uncomfortable before it becomes freedom. If you are learning how to live the teachings of Jesus in modern life, subscribe and continue this journey with us. The next time someone uses your kindness against you, remember this. Jesus was loving. Jesus was forgiving. Jesus was compassionate. But Jesus was never controlled. Do not just hear his words. Live them.